You wake up. The alarm has been ringing for 20 minutes. Your body feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. There are things to do, important things, but you cannot move. You scroll through your phone instead, hating yourself a little more with each passing minute. And the voice in your head whispers the same word it always does: lazy. But what if I told you that word is a lie? What if the exhaustion you feel is not about discipline or willpower, but about something far more profound? What if your body is not failing you, it is protecting you from a pain so old you have forgotten it even exists? You are not lazy, you are emotionally burned out from childhood, and that changes everything. The weight you carry is not laziness, it is grief. Let me paint you a picture. You are 7 years old. You come home from school, excited to tell your parent about the drawing you made, but they are tired, or angry, or distracted. They do not look at your drawing. They do not ask about your day. Instead, they sigh, they snap. They tell you to go to your room because they cannot deal with you right now. You do not cry. You have learned not to. You fold the drawing. You go to your room, and something inside you learns a lesson. Your needs are a burden. Your emotions are too much. Your excitement is annoying, so you stop sharing. You stop asking. You stop needing, and you think you have moved on. You think you are fine, but your body remembers. Your nervous system remembers. And decades later, when you try to do something for yourself, when you try to pursue a goal, start a project, take up space, your body freezes, because taking up space was never safe, because trying was always met with indifference or punishment, because success meant visibility, and visibility meant danger. This is not laziness. This is a nervous system stuck in survival mode. Here is what most people do not understand about burnout. They think it is something that happens to adults. They think it is caused by working too hard, by taking on too much responsibility, by pushing yourself beyond your limits. And yes, those things contribute, but they are not the root. The root is in childhood. The root is in the moments when you needed comfort and received criticism, when you needed support and received silence, when you needed to be seen and were told to be quiet. Your body learned very early on that the world is not safe, that people are not safe, that you are not safe. And so your body created armor. It built walls. It developed strategies to keep you alive in an environment that felt hostile. And one of those strategies was to shut down, to conserve energy, to stop trying, because trying meant risking rejection. Trying meant being vulnerable. Trying meant feeling the pain of not being enough. You are not avoiding work. You are avoiding the feeling of being unseen. Think about it. When you procrastinate, what are you really avoiding? Is it the task itself? Or is it the fear that no matter how hard you work, it will not be good enough? That no one will notice? That no one will care? That you will pour your heart into something, and it will be met with the same indifference you felt as a child? This is the emotional architecture of procrastination. It is not about time management or productivity hacks. It is about protecting yourself from a wound that never healed. It is about avoiding the feeling of being invisible, unimportant, unworthy. And your body knows this. Your body remembers every time you tried and were dismissed, every time you spoke and were ignored, every time you reached out and were pushed away. So when you sit down to work, when you try to create, when you attempt to do something meaningful, your body activates a defense mechanism. It floods you with fatigue. It fills your mind with distractions. It makes you feel paralyzed, because paralysis is safer than disappointment. Inaction is safer than rejection. Staying small is safer than being seen and still feeling invisible. This is not a character flaw. This is trauma. Let me introduce you to a concept: emotional burnout. Most people associate burnout with work, with long hours and demanding bosses and endless emails. But emotional burnout is different. It is not about doing too much. It is about feeling too much without ever being able to release it. Children are not meant to regulate their own emotions. They are meant to co-regulate with a caregiver. They are meant to cry, to rage, to feel, and to have an adult help them make sense of those feelings. To have someone say, "I see you, I hear you, your feelings are valid, your feelings are safe." But what happens when that does not occur? What happens when a child is told to stop crying, to toughen up, to get over it? What happens when their emotions are treated as inconvenient or wrong? The child learns to suppress. They learn to swallow their feelings. They learn to smile when they are sad, to be quiet when they are angry, to disappear when they are scared. And all of that that pain does not go away. It gets stored in the body, in the nervous system, in the subconscious mind. And years later, it manifests as exhaustion, as brain fog, as the inability to get out of bed, as the feeling that everything is just too hard. You are not lazy. You are carrying the emotional weight of a child who was never allowed to rest. Here is the tragedy. You were never supposed to be this strong. You were never supposed to have to manage your parents' emotions, to tiptoe around their moods, to make yourself small so they could feel big. You were never supposed to learn that love is conditional, that safety is uncertain, that your worth depends on how little space you take up. But you did. And because you did, you survived. You made it through. You became an adult. And everyone looks at you and thinks you are fine. They think you are functional. They think you have it together. But inside, you are still that child. Still afraid to need. Still afraid to want. Still afraid to try. Because trying means caring. And caring means giving someone the power to hurt you. So you stop trying, not because you are lazy, but because you are protecting yourself from a pain you cannot even name. This is what they call freeze response, and it is not weakness, it is biology. You have heard of fight or flight. When you are in danger, your body prepares to either confront the threat or run from it. But there is a third response that people talk about less: freeze. Freeze happens when fighting is impossible and fleeing is not an option. It happens when you are trapped, when you are powerless, when the threat is so overwhelming that the only thing left to do is shut down. For children in emotionally unsafe environments, freeze is often the only option. You cannot fight your parent. You cannot run away. So you freeze, you dissociate, you numb. You disappear inside yourself. And that freeze response does not just go away when you grow up. It becomes your default. It becomes the way your body responds to stress, to pressure, to anything that feels remotely unsafe. So when you sit down to work on something important, your body perceives it as a threat. Not because the work itself is dangerous, but because the vulnerability required to do the work is dangerous. Because doing the work means being seen, and being seen was never safe. You are not afraid of failure. You are afraid of being dismissed after trying your hardest. Let me ask you something. What is worse, never trying, or trying and having it not matter? For most people who struggle with procrastination and paralysis, the answer is clear. Trying and failing feels unbearable. Because it confirms the deepest, most painful belief they carry, that they are not enough, that their efforts are worthless, that they do not matter, so they do not try. They protect themselves from that confirmation. They stay in the space of potential, where they can still tell themselves that if they really wanted to, they could, where they can still hold on to the fantasy that they are capable, talented, worthy. They just have not proven it yet. But here is the truth. The reason it feels unbearable is not because you are weak. It is because you have already lived through it. You have already tried, as a child, to earn love, to earn attention, to earn a place in your own family, and it did not work. You were still criticized, still ignored, still told you were not enough. And your body remembers. It remembers that trying does not guarantee safety, that effort does not guarantee love, that success does not guarantee being seen. Your body is not broken. It is brilliant. It is keeping you safe the only way it knows how. This is the part where most self-help advice falls apart. Because most advice assumes that you just need to push harder to develop better habits, to find the right motivation. But you cannot discipline your way out of trauma. You cannot productivity hack your way out of a nervous system that is stuck in survival mode. Your body is not the enemy. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is protecting you. It is keeping you from re-experiencing a pain that once felt life-threatening. The problem is, your body has not updated its threat assessment. It is still operating as if you are that powerless child, as if being seen still means being hurt, as if trying still means being rejected. And until you help your body understand that the danger has passed, that you are no longer in that environment, that you are safe now, the paralysis will continue. This is not about motivation. This is about safety. You do not need another planner. You do not need another morning routine. You do not need another podcast telling you to just do it. What you need is to feel safe. What you need is to reconnect with the part of you that learned to shut down and gently tell it, "We are okay now." What you need is to grieve the childhood you did not have, the support you did not receive, the love you deserved but never got. Because until you do that, until you acknowledge the weight you have been carrying, you will keep blaming yourself. You will keep calling yourself lazy. You will keep thinking there is something wrong with you. But there is nothing wrong with you. You are not lazy. You are exhausted. You are burned out. You are carrying a burden that was never yours to carry. And the moment you stop judging yourself for it, everything changes. Here is what healing looks like. It does not look like suddenly becoming productive. It does not look like waking up one day with endless energy and motivation. It looks like giving yourself permission to rest, to feel, to be angry at what you did not receive, to grieve what you lost. It looks like recognizing that your exhaustion is not a moral failing, that your inability to get out of bed is not laziness, that your avoidance is not weakness. It looks like asking yourself, what am I really afraid of? And then sitting with that fear instead of running from it, instead of numbing it, instead of scrolling it away. It looks like learning to coagulate as an adult, to find people who can hold space for your emotions without judgment, to allow yourself to be seen without armor, to practice vulnerability in small, safe doses. It looks like retraining your nervous system, teaching your body that trying does not equal danger, that being seen does not equal being hurt, that taking up space is not only allowed, it is necessary. You were never lazy. You were just never taught that you mattered. And that is the deepest wound of all. Not that you were abused, not that you were neglected, but that you learned through 1,000 small moments that your existence was conditional, that your worth was negotiable, that your needs were an inconvenience. And so you stopped needing, you stopped wanting, you stopped trying, because trying meant caring, and caring meant opening yourself up to the possibility that you would, once again, be told that you were too much or not enough. But here is the truth. They never told you. You were always enough. The problem was never you. The problem was the environment. The problem was the adults who were too wounded themselves to see you. The problem was the system that valued compliance over authenticity, that rewarded silence over expression, that punished vulnerability. You were always enough. You were always worthy. You were always deserving of love, of attention, of care. And the fact that you did not receive it does not mean you were not deserving. It means the people around you were not capable of giving it. This is not about blame. This is about understanding. I am not here to tell you to hate your parents. I am not here to tell you to cut off your family. I am here to tell you that it is okay to acknowledge what happened, that it is okay to say, I was hurt, I was let down, I was not given what I needed, because acknowledgement is the first step toward healing. Denial keeps you stuck, blame keeps you powerless, but acknowledgement, honest, compassionate acknowledgement, gives you the ability to choose differently. It gives you the ability to say, I am not lazy, I am burned out, and I deserve rest. I deserve compassion. I deserve to heal. So what now? Now you stop fighting yourself. You stop forcing yourself to be productive when your body is screaming for rest. You stop calling yourself names. You stop comparing yourself to people who did not have to carry what you carried. Now you start listening. You listen to the exhaustion. You listen to the resistance. You listen to the fear. And instead of judging it, you ask it, what are you trying to protect me from? And then you thank it. You thank the part of you that learned to shut down, that learned to freeze, that learned to protect you from a world that felt unsafe. You thank it for keeping you alive. And then, gently, you tell it, I am safe now. We are safe now. We can try again. We can be seen again. We can take up space again, because you were never lazy. You were just never safe enough to be yourself. And now, maybe for the first time, you can be. So tell me, which truth hit the hardest? The one about your body protecting you, or the one about never being taught that you mattered? Because whichever one it is, that is where your healing begins.